Hi, I'm Lori Pickens, a photographer and photo educator. I'm passionate about helping photographers just like you get profitable and productive in their own businesses. As a mom to 3 kiddos, I know how hard it can be to juggle all the demands of life. But I also know that it's possible to have a successful business and a happy family. And that's why I created Photo Goals, a podcast for creative business owners who want to learn tangible steps to automate their business through workflows, systems, tools, and strategy in order to go from scattered to streamlined with purpose. On each episode, I'll share simple, actionable strategies and systems that photographers at every level of experience can use. No fluff, just the good stuff. I can't wait to help you achieve your photography goals. Let's do this. Hi, and welcome back to Photo Goals. If you're listening to this at the time it airs, and you're like me, you're probably sitting there thinking, how in the world did we get to April already? But today, as we begin 2024 quarter 2, it's time to start a little short reflection ritual that I like to do every quarter. So I invite you to grab your favorite drink, set aside some quiet time, get out your planner or whatever calendar app that you love to use, and carve out some time. Whether that's 30 minutes, I know some people set aside a whole day to really sit down and do a quarterly preview. But however you choose to do it, we want to sit down so that you can answer a few questions about what went well last quarter, where can you make changes, and what you want to prioritize for the next quarter and the months to come. I know for me, it helps to keep this big picture focus on not only what's urgent, but also what really matters. And the time that is spent on this reflection, I promise you, is always time well spent. Specifically for me, it helps me to celebrate my wins and feel gratitude for the impact that I have made. But it also forces me to prioritize what's on my plate, what's coming up, so that I don't overbook myself. I know, especially for me, going into quarter 2 and going into even as we get closer to the summer months, you're coming off of this possibly slower winter season for a lot of photographers, and you feel that urgency to, I need to make up for what the profit numbers that maybe you haven't had over the last couple of months. And you feel this scarcity mindset of, what can I do like this? So we're going to sit down, we're going to set out some time, and we're going to go through some quarterly planning. So here are 5 questions that you can use as inspiration as you go through your quarterly planning. First, what went well? I know in general, I have things in my mind like, my virtual assistant and I have done a lot of plotting this quarter. We've done a lot of yearly planning and goal setting and things like that, and working on workflows and things like that. So I like to include, especially in this part of my quarterly planning, the KPIs or the key performance indicators, that the numbers that I look at in my business to decide what's going well, what's not. Profits versus expenses. I know I like to track things like in my Google Search Console, I like to look at website impressions and also website clicks. We've been working a lot on SEO in the back end and actually just getting the impressions of my view, like how many people, how many searchers is Google even showing my website to? I have a Facebook group, so we're tracking the numbers on that. Obviously, things for my podcast, like podcast downloads, email. If you have an email list, please note each month, how many subscribers do you have on certain audience groups if you have different segments like that. I do use Flowdesk, so it's easy to kind of track my photographer's email list versus my local client's email list. But, if you see these numbers being stagnant quarter after quarter, maybe you decide that quarter you're going to look at ways that you can grow that list. So question number 2, what didn't go as expected, or what do you wish had gone differently? Question number 3, what would success look like at the end of the next quarter? So 3 months from now, what would success look like to you? What is your end goal? Number 4, what are the most important work projects or promos for this quarter? And we're going to talk at the end some of the marketing and photographer ideas that come up this quarter for a lot of people, especially photographers. But what do you have on your plate that you want to try and accomplish? I think I've talked about this before in goal setting, but at the beginning of the year, I make my big goals for the year. This is usually 8 to 10 goals, but I try to pick 2 or 3 for each quarter that I really sit down and try and work towards. I believe in the idea of that 12-week year, which I don't force it to line up with my quarters, because if something happens and I get off, I'm always a believer that starting today is better than waiting a week or waiting till it's the perfect time to start. So start today, even if it's messy. But having this idea of quarterly planning or 12-week year just lets you really dive in on breaking those goals down to what is achievable in the next 3 months or the next 12 weeks. And taking those from big picture ideas to actionable steps that can be accomplished each week. So, and your 5th question is, what are the most important priorities outside of work this quarter? For me, I know May, so this is April, but May is coming. It's gonna be May. Oh man, I should not have done that. Anyways, May, I feel like in our household at least, is actually become crazier than December. Like, that's what I always refer to it as May-cember now, because I always knew December was going to be busy and have a calendar full of activities and parties and things like that. But May, between spring sports and end of the year activities and, that transition as you're getting ready for summer, and it just feels like May is just the busiest month for us. So I know going into that those take priority for me, and then I need to plan in that time and all of those weekends and daytime activities that I'm going to have to set aside time for in my calendar, that I want to set time in my calendar for. So as you're doing this quarterly preview, as you're walking through these 5 questions, again, list your biggest wins from the past 3 months. For high achievers, we tend to focus on what we didn't get done rather than what we've actually accomplished. I know I am in this, I'm guilty of this myself, but it's good to balance that out by listing 3 to 5 accomplishments that you did get done. And again, if you do a time calendar or a time audit, or if you do goal setting, tracking kind of things, you're going to see those things. It may not feel like you did, but when you really reflect back on the time, you've probably accomplished more than you realize. And even if you didn't, that's okay. So we're going to start by reviewing our goals for the past quarter and go ahead and write them down again. So even if you're a paper planner, even if you're a digital planner, I'd like you to write them, because it's going to reinforce those in your head. So review your goals that you set aside last quarter. Hopefully those were 2 or 3 of them. And even just write down how far you got. Maybe it is a goal that's going to take you all year long, and you're 10% of the way there, you're halfway there. I know I have a list of SEO blogs. We did a whole keyword research project, and I came up with a list of blogs that I want to write for this year to start ranking for. And I have a percentage of how many I've gotten done and how many we're going to work through next. And so there are things like that, the goal might not be accomplished, it may not be done, but go ahead and write down, note how far along you actually got. Next, take a moment to identify what worked last quarter and what didn't, maybe especially as it relates to your goals. So decide from your goals which ones you're going to keep doing because it worked well, or ways that you can improve it because you can likely do it better. Maybe these are things like you're batching your social media posts, and that actually felt really good. I know for me, when I set aside those batch days and I just do it for the month, I just feel so much better knowing that every day that's already taken care of. And I feel like it gives my creative brain more space to think of new ideas and to do other things. And so that's one that I feel like I did well. We are setting some things in place to make sure that by the 15th of each month, the following month is already scheduled. So you're not getting to that end of the month, first of the month, like, oh, I got to figure out a day to batch and set aside time to do this. Okay. You're going to decide what you're going to start doing because you think it will help you do better. Maybe there are things or pain points that you experienced this quarter that you're like, you know what? Maybe this wasn't on the original goal list, but I'm going to have to bump it up. I know for me, I have some new lead management forms. So what we're in the process of doing is on each of my niche pages. So I have a main page, homepage for my website. And then, obviously I have a senior page, or I have a newborn page and a wedding page. And we're embedding the lead form directly onto those pages. It's something that I highly recommend. You're taking away that barrier of that extra click. Yes, you can have at the bottom of your thing, for more session information, contact me. And it's a button that takes you to the contact page, and then they fill out the form there. What I found is actually a better way is to embed the contact form directly onto every page that you would want them to do, because it's just one less step that you're asking them to do in order to reach out to you. Once they reach out, once they've given you their name and email or some kind of contact form, they're more likely to continue that conversation. Where if they go to the other page and then they get distracted or they just didn't get it all filled out. But what I'm doing is that I'm kind of customizing each lead form on the page. So like the senior one asks senior specific questions. I make them optional because, again, if all they're willing to give me is their name and email, I will take it. But I think it kind of gives it sets you apart as an expert. Like I'm asking newborn specific questions on the newborn page. So maybe it's making them realize that, hey, she's not just this person that's willing to take pictures of anything and everything, but she has thought about what makes a newborn session special or what makes a senior session different than other types of sessions. But one thing I'm wanting to continue to improve that is even the automation on the back end of the messages that automatically go out to them that take that time off me. So I don't have to, even if you have them in a template that you have to copy and paste from, I'm trying to set up more automation to remove the time for either me or my assistant to make sure that, so that nothing else slips through in the follow-up kind of process of that. So that's just a personal thing that I know I've been working on and I feel like we're getting closer to, but I know that it's going to be a priority for me to continue to improve because I think I can do better. Maybe you have things on your list that you're going to stop doing because it just didn't work. It is okay to remove goals, to change goals. I think I've talked about this before, but, I used to track Instagram followers, and it was a big goal for me to see that number go up each month. And it's something that I've stopped tracking. Yeah, would I like more Instagram followers? I would. But at this point, it's not a number that directly leads to money-making activities for me. It doesn't. The number of followers may feel good and there is value to it, but at this point, it's not a priority on my goal list it's abandoning metrics for me. And I had to let go of that one. So maybe there are other things like that. You have this time to revisit even goals that you set 2 months ago. Maybe you just now finished your yearly goals and now you're sitting here like, wait, I'm going to take this off. And I just said that I wanted it. It's okay to do that. That's the idea of reflecting back on where you were, where you are now, and what is serving you here. So the goal is to incrementally get better at achieving your quarterly goals because like anything else, goal achievement is a learned skill. So maybe you've never done this before. Maybe you haven't done yearly goals yet. Come back to this episode in a couple of months and go through it again. Each time you're going to get a little bit better at, what are the things that I wish I had looked at 3 months ago that I want to compare to today? So as you're doing this, we're going to review your annual goals. You're going to want to look at each goal that you have left for the year that you listed. And if there's anything that you'd like to revise, maybe you have a goal and it's still not going to be one of your key ones for this quarter, but you already know that it's looking a little bit different for quarter 4. Like even your revenue goals or your booking goals, maybe now, maybe you're expecting now, and you know that your October is going to look a little different than you thought it was going to at this time last year or something like that. Look at it in big picture and kind of decide what's important to you for the upcoming months. We want to do a calendar review
focusing on the big rocks. So I like to look at my Google Calendar for the next 3 months and note any major events, any major deadlines, any major products that you're planning to put out there, or, marketing promotions, things like that. I know for me, like I mentioned before, Miss May, it's crazy for my kids and their schedules. May and June tend to be busier wedding months for me. In general, my busy wedding months are May, June, September, and October. So I know middle of May, my deep wedding season kicks off. So those are things that I have to set aside time for because they do require more time and more attention than, a typical family session or something like that. And this is another easy one to leave off, but rejuvenation time or self-care. Make sure you're setting aside time on your calendar for yourself and taking priority to take care of you, even when you have this urgency of ramping up as we go more into busy season or into summer. Think about all of your big rocks, and you get to count as one of those big rocks and priorities too. The quarterly preview is an opportunity to get ahead of the daily blizzard of activities and see where you've been and where you're going. It gives you a chance to be a little more reflective and look at your goals, your systems, and your processes so you can always be the most productive self. So, as we are looking at this, I wanted to search and do some notes too on just marketing trends that are applicable to photographers in quarter two. So we're talking April, May, June. The spring season brings fresh opportunities for photographers. Here's some of the key marketing trends to be aware of as you capture new clients and grow your business that tend to grow in popularity in April, May, and June. So that's spring, early summer, at least for if you're seasonally the same as where I am on the East Coast. So we're going to start embracing the outdoors right now. I know it's 60s, 70s this week. We have a ridiculous amount of rain, but it is getting nicer and people are wanting to be outside more. So spring-themed photo shoots, you can highlight the beauty of spring with outdoor mini sessions featuring blooms, florals, soft light, pastel color palettes. I know for me, I like to do spring mini sessions, not specifically Easter mini sessions, especially this year since Easter was so early. I like to make them where, sure, if I book them in March, maybe the kid's holding Easter eggs or a carrot or something like that. But there are quick and easy props that can also be swapped out and stay in more of a general spring theme. Engagement season. Spring offers a beautiful backdrop for blooming flowers, soft light, and vibrant colors that are perfect for capturing romantic engagement photos. Again, so if people want engagement photos prior to wedding season, or even if they're having a fall wedding, but maybe they want spring engagement photos. Family sessions. Families enjoy spending time outside during the spring, and this can be an opportunity to offer sessions outside before the fall hits. Some people like springier colors. I've had a lot of families come that do like more of that pastel color palette, or even short sleeves and shorts and things like that their families feel more comfortable in the spring than, the traditional fall rush of family photos. Maternity sessions. Spring is perfect, lovely setting for maternity photo shoots with flowers and all the greenery. It symbolizes new life and can be gorgeous for maternity photos and senior photos. This is the weird kind of time of year that when I get a senior inquiry, I still have to ask which graduation year they are, because people who are ahead of the game, like I'm already taking 2025 applications for next year's senior model rep team. So you have those parents that are on the ball and ready to go and excited for their next year and want to get the full benefit of like a senior model team. But I also still have a lot of last minute parents that are just now reaching out for 2024 seniors, both, which is great for me. I love both. And that's why I always reassure parents like, I promise are not the only, that's what they always say. No, it's so late. I'm like, don't feel bad. You are not the only senior inquiry for 2024 that I have got this week. Maybe it's even they had a senior that was hesitant to do senior pictures. They've been dragging their feet and they finally convinced them. Some people also wait because I know our schools don't give out their cap and gown until right before graduation. And so they want to include that in their senior photo shoot. So we do a lot of cap and gown mini session add-ons, but I also have people who are just now doing like a senior mini session. And then we do, the last 5-10 minutes in their cap and gown. So it is a popular time for high school seniors, especially graduation portraits. Maybe if you do high school seniors and you have a local college, think about marketing for that too. I know we have, Marietta is a college town, and we also have a Parkersburg version of our West Virginia University, and both have college graduates that then do like a cap and gown ceremony. So it's probably not as popular of a market in my area, but there's lots to do there too if you market and kind of bring awareness to it. If you are more of a lifestyle photographer, there's also graduation sessions, parties, or maybe a group of friends that you get together. Mother's Day mini sessions are really popular around here, and we're coming into, those can be a great theme day that you can attract new clients or advertise as a special gift for their moms. I know Autumn A from This Can't Be That Hard, she always does a Mother's Day marketing thing that says, if you want me to tell the significant other in your life to book a Mother's Day mini session for you, it's the wife reaching out and giving the husband's email to basically, and she says that she sends this email to basically say, hey, a little birdie told me, basically indicating this is what your wife actually wants for Mother's Day. I just thought it was a marketing genius idea that I do every year after following one of her. She has a This Can't Be That Hard podcast. If you've never followed or listened to her, you should definitely check it out. She's fabulous. But I love this idea of, put it out there. If that's actually what you want for Mother's Day, you give me his email and we will let him know. Just kind of a fun indirect marketing way there. So, additional considerations for spring. This time of year, weather is always a factor. It can be unpredictable. I know we are having ridiculous amounts of rain and flooding. So if you are planning outdoor sessions, be prepared to offer backup options, kind of have in your back pocket. If it's rain and you must do this date, where can you go? What are your other choices? And I would probably, if you can, leave more flexibility in your schedule. Leave backup rain dates. Don't book every day that you think that you have, because if half of those get rained out and you have to move them to other days, you want to make sure that you can accommodate. So local trends. You can actually research local trends and events happening during your spring. Offer themed mini sessions or packages that capitalize on popular local activities or festivals. And highlight your portfolio. Showcase past spring photography work prominently on your website and social media platforms. I've talked about this before, but whatever your naming structure is, whatever you do in Lightroom to tag your images or catalog them. I know with my social media team, we actually have folders that are like spring. And every year as I take photos, I drop them in a folder so that this time next year, it's quick and easy to pick images that look like spring. So you don't feel like you're having to do content marketing or content creation every single year. If you've been an established photographer for years, you probably have past spring images that will work great on your social media for now. I know my VA always says that she loves, so I name all of my sessions with a date. So for me, this looks like 04/10/2024, 04_ then the day of the session _ the year _ and then some kind of description, like Miller family session and maybe a park that it was at or something like that. So she knows that she can go out there and search in my huge catalog of images for 04_ and she's going to get any family picture that I've ever taken in April in the years past. It's just kind of a quick and easy way that I didn't even think about. I named them so that I can go back through my own archives and find my kids' things or a specific wedding that I'm looking for, something like that. But it works great for seasonal social media planning. So by understanding what's popular during the season, understanding what's on your calendar, you can tailor your marketing efforts accordingly, and you can attract new clients and maximize your bookings during the spring and early summer months. So I hope that you do this. I hope if you have never done a quarterly planning session before, that you set aside some time, whether it's 30 minutes or a whole day, look at your calendar, look what's coming up, and set some goals for yourself. Set what you're going to accomplish and put it on the calendar. What gets scheduled gets done. And I hope you guys all have a fabulous Q2.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Boda Goals. If you enjoyed this content, it would mean the world to me if you left a review or send this to your business bestie. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next episode. And as always, check out the show notes for links to all my resources and info.
And as I tell my kids every day, be kind and make good choices.
Thanks for listening to Guiding Leader Review.